Alright guys, hey Clumsy Dad, how you doing? If you haven't noticed, I've been going at this game pretty hard. I did a setup and some major impressions in the middle of a game, 3-player again now, and kind of got a nice board going. I just played a couple rounds. I got a bunch of the Oasis palm trees out. I got one of the villages. I've been calling it a palace, but it's a village. And what you'll notice is on the board, a lot of the meeples are grouped together still, because once you kind of get more experienced, you don't want to make trails of meeples just hanging out by themselves, because the other players are going to come and scoop them up and take them and put their piece, their camel marker, on the board there. So I'm not going through all the rules, but that's kind of a major no-no in general. Sometimes it's worth it, but and once again, early game, you're going to want to kind of focus on, well, basically the whole game is tactical. You're going to do whatever is best. But you're going to want to get, in general, some of the white elders. You're going to need them if you want to do anything with the Djinns to use them. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a minute. But if you don't, then you don't need them so much. Also, the Viziers can be something to collect. And that might be something earlier in the game. Now with the builders as well, these green ones, they're going to help you get the resource cards for free. So if you pick up 3 of them, you get to pick the first 3. Otherwise you need to buy the resource cards, and can get a little expensive. This player over here has got 2 sets of resources going, which I haven't done yet. I never got out for that quick a start, so we'll see how that works out. With the builders, again, they're the blue ones, and this player here has a stack of gold because he had a nice move in which one? Which one was in the middle here? There's one of these that's surrounded by 6 blue. Anyways, he used the Fakir. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but the kind of the assistant cards. They're really good to use in conjunction with builders. You can land in a spot maybe that has 3 builders, you use 3 Fakirs to make it 6, and then that multiplies by how many other blues were around it. In this case we had 6 times 6, I believe, for 36 points, which was big. And the last one is the Assassins, which I'm starting to utilize better for big scores. Now, for instance, there happens to be, what I've been learning and doing better is open spaces you can manipulate to your own advantage. So here's a huge meeple grouping of 7. So basically one thing you can do is take these and you're going to lay them out one by one. I guess you lay them down is the preferred method to kind of, before you actually finalize your turn. So I'm going out here, coming back through, which is legal, laying them down, and then in the final one you're going to lay one of the ones you've already laid. So then you seize those builders, and whoever it was, whether maybe it's the pink player, he's going to put his camel on that space for 15 points, the highest score. So that's one way that you're going to use builders, using the, or whichever one it can be. It doesn't have to be builders. In that case it would be good because there's a bunch of blue surrounding here, so you get points for that too. But whichever ones, using it in the Mancala style to set up yourself on the turn. Now for instance, if one of the assassins was here, you're going to take these 2, put one of the white elder meeples here, put the other assassin here. You take those 2 and you're able to knock off one other player and seize the space and take control of it if there's only one meeple there. So you would seize, knock off this one, and again with the camels you'd be able to seize both of those spaces. Whoops, went to an ad here on YouTube Jazz. I'll turn that off. So that's some examples of some advanced play using the meeples to your advantage. Now I've kind of been able to, depending on the moves earlier in the game, like when you're grabbing some of the Viziers or Elders or Merchants for instance, you're not going to be necessarily grabbing them on a space where it's going to be the last space and you're able to take them and set that up and take control. Sometimes early game you're not doing that, so you might be setting up some palm trees, some oasis for yourself later to get, or whatever, as part of the process. And again, using the Djinns, the ones I like, because it's hard to get enough elders and fakirs to activate some of these that need to have either an elder and or one other white elder or elder and fakir to activate them, because it gets costly. So some of the best ones I found are ones that are automatic. This one, for instance, it turns all your oases, you're normally valued as 3, into 5. This one is pretty amazing if you're seizing a lot of areas with your camels. This one, if anyone passes on it, they pay you 2, or you get 2 gold from the bank, and if you pass on your own space that you control, you get 1. That can be pretty lucrative. This Al-Amin is pretty impressive. Basically, at the end of the game, you can trade in any 2 fakirs for a resource card of your choice from the deck, and that can be worth basically 10 points easily at the end of the game. So 10 gold coins, that is. So those are some of my favorites. But basically, in total, you're going to have to balance your game between, you're not going to be able to cover everything, but you have to go for whatever's working best in your specific game. But it's going to be about getting gold coins, if you're going to go for the Fazirs or not, how many Djinns you're going to be able to manipulate, utilize. If getting oasis and villages is a little bit tricky. It's kind of depends on the gameplay. The game can end early if somebody spends all their 8 camels, so you have to watch out for that too, because the game can be shortened by a few turns if that happens. And then how many areas you control, and then the resource cards. So that's about what I've got. And just a beautiful beautiful Mancala style game with point salad of different ways of scoring. Always be sure that wherever you land, you're able to take some actions are mandatory, otherwise you can take them if you decide to do so. And just a beautiful visual puzzle. So yeah, I think that's about all I got. I'm just really impressed by Mr. Cathala putting this game together. I mean, there's just so much going on in so many different ways, and I think it's just lovely, the physicality of it, how you're moving the meeples around and grouping them and taking control, but you got all these other issues going on the side to balance out play and really affect directly what other players are able to do on their next turn, or affect their tactical application for the next turn or their long-term strategy. So 5 tribes, just an amazing game. Clumsy Dad, talk to you later.